Our next guest is a member of the House Financial Services Committee who has spoken out against a government bailout for the U.S. automakers. Joining us right now, Representative Michele Bachmann, Republican of Minnesota. She comes to us from Capitol Hill this morning. Congresswoman, good morning.
Good morning, Carol. Great to speak with you this morning.
It's great to have you here. Why do you oppose a bailout for the auto industry?
Because I don't think it will work. The big three are burning through money like crazy every quarter, and at this point, if they come and are successful in getting an additional $25 billion from Congress, there's no plan in place that appears that will amend their ways so that they won't have to be back to the table to ask for more money in the future.
All right, but how can we afford to let them go in terms of the jobs they support, the tentacles that they have from this company? They affect a lot of industries. How can we not support them? We bailed out the financials, or trying to.
Well, there certainly would be disruption. I don't deny that. But let's remember, the consumer still needs to purchase transportation. They still need to buy cars. And the only automakers are not just GM, Chrysler, and Ford. Those are good companies, and they make good products. But we also have manufactured in the United States Honda, Ford, Toyota, and we have a lot of people that are employed in those industries as well. What we would probably see is an increase in production from those companies if the big three go down. I don't want to see the big three go down, but we can't have the American taxpayer on the hook paying for poorly negotiated labor contracts from 30 years ago. Remember, GM has more expense paying retirees than they do current employees. This just is not a model that's sustainable, and the American taxpayers shouldn't be in the position of supporting them. Imagine, for instance, Carol, if you went back to the 1920s and we had buggy whip manufacturers coming to Congress saying, give us a subsidy or buggy whip manufacturing will go out of business.
Representative Bachmann, I don't know if we can hold you over. I got to check with my producer. Can we do this, guys? We're going to hold you over because I want to talk to you more about this issue. It's a hot one for everybody involved. So sit tight. We'll come back and let's continue talking about the automakers. Let's get back to our guest, Representative Michele Bachmann, Republican of Minnesota. Representative, I understand the debate about saving them or not saving them. I think we all have an internal debate over this one. But in this economic environment, how can we not afford to help these guys out? These are certainly unprecedented circumstances.
Well, the reason why is because we will continue to put the taxpayer, the forgotten man in all of this, on the hook for more and more bailouts. Because, again, the big three gave no plan to Congress of how they're going to change their ways of doing business. They simply are not competitive in a competitive model right now. Their costs are about $30 more per hour than their other competitors. You just can't sustain that. They'll be back at the table asking for more bailouts. Well, that's not a way out.
All right, so how do you get around those legacy costs and the unions at this point, because they continue to kind of have a hard line with the automakers to some extent?
Well, I'm a former federal tax litigation attorney, and one thing that these businesses could do is they could file Chapter 11 or Chapter 7, and then they would be protected from outside lawsuits, and they'd also be in a position to renegotiate their labor contracts.
Right.
Just because the big three entered into unsustainable labor contracts is no reason why the American taxpayer should have to come and bail them out, because the new fashion today is to have your company turn into a bank.
I know, and we talked about GMAC this morning filing with the Federal Reserve to become a bank holding company. I get it, but again, I go back to these are very different circumstances. Nobody could have anticipated the decline that we've seen. We've helped the financials.
Oh, sure they could.
Why should we not help out the automakers?
Well, I disagree. You know, I think this was very foreseeable. We knew that these legacy costs were coming up, and I don't know that this needs to be the responsibility of the taxpayer who never entered into these contracts. They're being asked to come in and bail out when this wasn't their contract that they put together. Remember, I was not a fan of the original bailout. I voted against that. I don't believe we should be bailing out the financial markets or the big three or Starbucks. You know, it doesn't matter who it is. I don't think they should be coming to Uncle Sam to be their lender of last resort.
Got it. It's certainly a hot issue. That's no doubt about that one. Representative Bachmann, thanks for your time this morning.
Carol, thank you.
Michele Bachmann of Minnesota, everybody.